And the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting
hot seat before the Senate Banking Committee. In the meantime, it is back to the drawing board for the Save America Act, which effectively died on the Senate floor Monday after failing to overcome a Democrat-led filibuster. Oh yeah, and then there's this pesky ongoing situation in Iran as the ceasefire between the U.S. and the Islamic Republic is set to expire tomorrow. With so much to unpack, let's bring in RAV correspondent Neil McCabe. He is live at the White House right now. Neil, let's start here. At this hour, what is the most interesting story that you're watching, or what story are you watching most closely?
Yeah, hey, Terrence, I think all of Washington, maybe the nation and the world, is watching to see when Vice President J.D. Vance actually goes wheels up for Islamabad. You know, whether or not those negotiations are going to happen or not has really been affecting everyone. Obviously, we're in the middle of a ceasefire that the president says expires tomorrow, and then, you know, combat operations resume. Vance was supposed to go, and then they said no, security reasons he can't go. You know, now we say he is going, but I've been unable to confirm that he's actually left and gone wheels up. So it's my understanding he's still in Washington, and we'll have to see how that rides. It may be that the president is getting tired of the Iranians, and he just may decide to go straight back into combat operations. That's certainly the impression he gave this morning when he had an interview with CNBC, where he basically said, hey, you know, maybe bombing is the way to go. You know, you talked about Federal Reserve Chairman nominee Kevin Warsh. That's interesting because the president and his Justice Department are investigating the multi-billion-dollar construction project at the Federal Reserve headquarters, which the president says is completely out of control. There's an effort to compromise because Tom Tillis and other Senate Republicans say they will block Warsh's nomination or confirmation if the DOJ is still investigating the Federal Reserve. The compromise would be that the Senate Banking Committee would conduct its investigation. That would be led by Chairman Tim Scott. And so Trump would get the answers that he requires, but it would also sort of assuage the senators who really are jealous of their advice and consent prerogatives. Terrence.
And let's talk a bit more about Kevin Warsh, because it really is an interesting conundrum. The war in Iran, of course, has also raised a number of issues economically for this country, specifically inflation. The Fed has long said that when inflation is high, it's going to be more hesitant to cut interest rates. Yet that's the one thing that President Trump wants from the next Fed chairman, someone to come in and cut interest rates.
Yeah, well, you can forgive a real estate developer for wanting low interest rates. I think that's part of his DNA, his family's DNA, right? So he's never going to move off that hill. But he did speak for an hour to CNBC this morning. And one of the things he said was that he had to tell his economic advisors, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, we are going to settle the Iran situation once and for all. And gas is going to go up, and it's going to be disruptive to the economy. But this is something that should have been settled 50 years ago. Everyone knows it. Nobody wanted to do it. And so I'm going to do it. And he's betting that the American people over time, right, we're 5 months from the midterm, they will figure out that this was actually good. And I also want to say on the midterms, Terrence, the Republican Party has $1 billion war chest going into these midterms. So a lot of people are talking like gloom and doom about Republican chances to hold the House and Senate. I still think there'll be a pickup in the Senate and a hold of the House, and that $1 billion war chest cannot be dismissed, Terrence.
20 seconds, the Save America Act in limbo, probably no way forward, which doesn't help for looking towards the midterms.
Yeah, Republican leadership is always going to put these conservative priorities to the side. And what conservatives are trying to do is attach their priorities to the must-pass legislation. Right now, the leadership wants to pass Pfizer extension, and so Representative Luna and Senator Mike Lee are going to tie Pfizer to SAVE Act.
Okay. Neil McCabe reporting outside the White House. Always good to see you, my friend.
You did it, Rav audience. High Rez's God Bless America hit #1.
Numero uno.
And it's all because of you showing up, downloading, and making some serious noise.
Anybody who downloaded High Rez's new single on Real America's Music is going to get that hat right there.
And hey, promises made, promises kept. If you grabbed the song and sent in your address and receipt, your free, exclusive Rav hat is officially on the way. Yep, we're packing them up right now and shipping them out all across America. This is what happens when this audience gets behind something. Nobody does it like you. So when that hat lands, throw it on, grab your phone, and show it off. Post a pic or video, tag Real America's Voice, use the hashtag RAM, and you might just see yourself shouted out on air. Thank you for making God Bless America #1. Let's keep it rolling.
Here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivey Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivey.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, here we go into another action-packed day fighting for you from the foxhole, making sure you have the right people with you when it matters the most. Let's get rolling. There are three big things to cover here this hour. Number one, another day and another resignation from Congress. Democrat Sheila McCormick Cheerfulis, who was facing 50-plus years in prison, finally gave it in and decided to step away yesterday. She's gone. Number two, the Pentagon says the report of 26 Iranian ships dodging the U.S. naval blockade that Democrat Chris Murphy called awesome is flat out false. And then not one ship from Iran has moved past the blockade. Not one. That is awesome. And number three, topping the news this morning, President Trump has extended the ongoing ceasefire with Iran. Because nobody seems to know who's in charge. It seems the regime has no clear leader, and President Trump is being patient about reaching a deal. We'll keep a close eye on this one all day long. And the Southern Poverty Law Center, and another big headline today, has been indicted by a grand jury of creating the hate, buying paid agitators to create hate crimes so they could tell the world about hate crimes. We'll get to all of that. But we start here. While much emphasis has been placed on the progress in the Middle East, I think it's important to keep in mind another competition that we've been locked in for a number of years now against China. And that is the space race and its ties to the AI race, both of which might be much more important than you realize. Earlier this month, the Artemis II crew splashed down in the Pacific safely after an historic 10-day journey around the moon. It was remarkable. A joyous bright spot in the midst of an otherwise negative news cycle. Astronaut Victor Glover was one of those who returned from his flight on Artemis II. He's a proud Christian, and here he is being welcomed home in his neighborhood as a reminder. Listen to this.
Some of us have never met before, and you know whose fault that is? Ours. So let's choose to do this. Let's be this more. Let's be neighbors. I don't know if you heard me say it, but God told us to love him with all that we are and love our neighbors as ourselves. That's right. I love you, and we love you.
All right, this marked the first crewed lunar mission in over half a century. These Americans, these heroes, flew farther from Earth than anybody ever has. They captured jaw-dropping views of the moon's far side, tested the Orion capsule for future landings, and came home to cheers, hugs, and the stars and stripes waving proudly. This was American ingenuity, American grit, and American exceptionalism firing on all cylinders. While the rest of the world talks about space, we deliver. And this triumph isn't happening by accident. This is exactly what President Trump directed NASA to do. Think big, according to the NASA administrator himself. Here he is.
You know, President Trump could easily have said, you know, it's very hard to get to the moon. We haven't done it in a long time. Just do that. No, he said, getting back to the moon is very important. And when you go back, do it this time to stay. I don't want just the flags and the footprints. build a moon base, establish an enduring presence so we can realize the scientific and the economic potential of being on the moon, the national security reasons you'd want to be on the moon, and do the other big things. Build nuclear power and propulsion so we can go to Mars and bring our astronauts back. Figure out the orbital economy so we don't have one space station in orbit, have lots of space stations in orbit, and more science and discovery. Everybody loves the rovers on Mars. Everybody loves the big telescopes. Why aren't there more of them?
And you said to President Trump, that's it? That's all you want?
I said I appreciate the ambitious goals. We are going to get in gear, and we're going to start to deliver.
Yeah, and they are delivering. America does big things, my friends, big things. Under Trump's leadership, we stopped playing small and started reaching for the stars again. But here's the thing, my friends. Artemis 2 isn't just a feel-good photo op. It is the opening act of a brand new space race. And the stakes could not be higher for every single American family, every factory worker, and every kid who looks up into the heavens. We're not just racing to plant a flag on the moon. We're racing for control of space, for lunar resources like water ice that can fuel the next giant leaps, for rare minerals that power our tech future, and for the ultimate high ground that decides who leads the 21st century. It's all about who's going to set the rules for space. Here's the Heritage Foundation's Steve Yates explaining.
For me, I do think we are in a space race 2.0. It's essential that we win, because if we don't, the rules of the road and also access to critical things will be dominated likely by the People's Republic of China if we don't get our act together. In some ways, they've been investing a lot to mimic what SpaceX has been doing, and at the core of that is reusability of some of these launch vehicles. But really, the Chinese can't beat us to the moon. We've been there. But what we need to beat them to is to reliably, sustainably use that platform to do more beyond the moon. And I think this is just echoes of the Ronald Reagan era, where we had the Strategic Defense Initiative and people thought things weren't possible that turned out to be possible. Our adversaries believed we would get there. Ronald Reagan believed we would get there, and Reagan was right. And we need to do the same now.
America is doing it the right way, with allies, with private sector muscle, and with a commitment to freedom and openness. Thanks to the free market, we've got Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, among others, competing to bring us the best rockets and the best gear that leading minds can build, and with lots of money that they put in. But China's not sitting back and just watching. China's charging full speed ahead as well, with their own crude lunar plans, targeting a landing by 2030, and a permanent base on the moon, teaming up with Russia, testing rockets and capsules like there's no tomorrow. So the question is, do we want American values, liberty, innovation, and exploration for all humanity, governing the next frontier? Or do we want an authoritarian regime that treats space like the next battlefield for military dominance and, of course, surveillance of you and me and everyone else? Isaacman says the difference is going to come down to a matter of maybe just a few months. Here's more.
The United States is committed to returning astronauts to the moon before the end of President Trump's term. It's obviously end of 2028. The Chinese have said before 2030. No matter how you slice it, you're measuring it on months. Mm-hmm. That's not a good position to be in. I mean, we have NASA's the peaceful exploration of science and discovery. We have Space Force that looks out for our defense. It's kind of watching out for us in the ultimate high ground of space. They don't draw the distinction. It's all one channel for them. Mm-hmm. So they're looking at everything through breakthroughs in exploration discovery for national security and the militarization of space, and that's problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, problematic to say the least. Let me put it this way: if China gets there first, what message does that send to our kids, to our allies, and to the world? It would say the American century is over, but I'm here to tell you it's not over, not by a long shot. The space race is about national security, an economic boom, and jobs, good-paying jobs, high-paying American jobs for engineers, welders, machinists, and the blue-collar heroes who actually build the rockets. When America leads in space, it lifts every dreamer and every working family. We've done it before, and with leaders who tell NASA to think big, we're doing it again. It's time to feel good about America and American exceptionalism. We'll have more after the break.
You did it, Rav audience. High Rez's God Bless America hit #1.
Numero uno.
And it's all because of you showing up, downloading, and making some serious noise.
Anybody who downloaded High Rez's new single on Real America's Music is going to get that hat right there.
And hey, promises made, promises kept. If you grabbed the song and sent in your address and receipt, your free, exclusive Rav hat is officially on the way. Yep, we're packing them up right now and shipping them out all across America. This is what happens when this audience gets behind something. Nobody does it like you. So when that hat lands, throw it on, grab your phone, and show it off. Post a pic or video, tag Real America's Voice, use the hashtag RAM, and you might just see yourself shouted out on air. Thank you for making God Bless America #1. Let's keep it rolling.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the Rav family, and we're better together.
Hi, I'm Bridgie. And why do I love Rav? Well, even out here in the cornfields of Iowa, I still need news I can depend on. That is Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the Rav family, and we're better together.
All right, Patriots, here's what's even more exciting and urgent about all of this. The space race isn't separate from the other great technological battle of our time, the AI race. There are two sides of the same coin. Space needs AI, and AI needs space. Think about it. You need AI for autonomous navigation, for deep space missions, real-time data crunching from lunar sensors, AI-powered robotics to build bases on the moon. Artemis II already leaned on advanced AI systems just to keep the crew safe and the capsule on point. And at the same time, AI needs space infrastructure, satellite networks, secure communications, Earth observation that feeds the algorithms powering our future. And right now, the boldest vision on the table comes from Elon Musk himself, launching data centers into space. Here's what he said.
It's a no-brainer for building solar-powered AI data centers in space, because as you mentioned, it's also very cold in space. If you're in the shadow, then it's very cold in space. There's 3 degrees Kelvin. So you have solar panels facing the sun, and then a radiator that's pointed away from the sun, so it has no sun incidence, and then it's just cooling. It's a very efficient cooling system. So net effect is that the lowest cost place to put AI will be space, and that'll be true within 2 years, maybe three at the latest.
Now think about that. Orbital AI powerhouses bypassing Earth's power grids and water shortages using unlimited solar energy up there and Starship-class rockets to make it happen. Musk's already working to make this sci-fi dream another reality. Up to 1 million satellites humming with intelligence, solving the energy crunch that's holding back AI growth on the ground. That's the kind of American innovation we celebrate. And it's no coincidence that President Trump has embraced AI innovation like no president before. Here it is.
For this reason, we're also committed to ensuring the United States remains #1 in artificial intelligence. We're doing great. We're leading China by a lot. And I'll not allow radical left maniacs to sacrifice American AI leadership to red tape or political correctness. It's going good. We're doing really well. We're building factories all over America, the biggest in the world. And in America, we don't fear the future. We invent the future. We're really inventing the future. We have the most brilliant minds. And we invite all nations to join us in building the most powerful AI ecosystem on the planet.
Yeah, Trump has cut the red tape, signed executive orders to accelerate American leadership, and laid out a clear AI action plan that puts innovation first. Protecting free speech, building infrastructure, making sure America doesn't just compete, we dominate. Trump gets it. AI isn't some elite toy. It's the tool that will create millions of high-skilled jobs, secure our future, and keep our military second to none. But here's the warning every patriot needs to hear. China's pouring state money into both races at the same time. Military-civil fusion, massive data harvesting, using AI to turbocharge their space program while building surveillance tools that could one day watch every single one of us from the moon. Imagine a world where Beijing controls the high ground of space and the intelligence layer of AI. It's not a movie plot. That's the future they're racing toward if we get complacent. And the war in Iran actually shows how important this is, too. Here's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, explaining.
Rescuing those F-15 fighters, but the rest of this was precision munitions from space and all kinds of different ways to use it. What we've learned, warfare is changing, and the country with the best AI is going to win. Just think about China if they attack Taiwan. If you've got data centers and you've got AI, you win. So we better go chop and catch up with the Chinese guys.
Yeah, you've been big on that for a long time. I just want to put this up on the screen. This is the snapshot of the oil price.
All right, it's all connected. Our national security, the space race, the AI race. We have to make sure that our adversaries aren't outperforming us in any of these ventures, none of them. The good news, we've already shown with Artemis II that we have what it takes. American companies, American astronauts, American vision. We just need to keep the pedal down, support NASA, back private space leaders like SpaceX, and back smart AI policies that reward the risk takers instead of regulators. No more short-term thinking, no more letting bureaucrats slow us down. Our Defense Department understands it. Clearly. Here's Secretary Pete Hegseth.
We will unleash American space dominance. We can't just command the skies and the seas or our hemisphere. We have to dominate the ultimate high ground. We've always known this. Any infantryman knows this. Anybody knows this. Whoever controls the high ground controls the fight. Space is the ultimate high ground.
This is our moment, folks. Whether it's the successful Artemis II mission or Elon Musk's grand goals of data centers in space, America doesn't follow, we lead. We explore, we innovate. We build the future with freedom as our North Star. Stars belong to those who reach for them. President Trump's commitment to think big and win the AI race and the space race will get us there. That's the most important thing you can remember today. All right, we're going to get back into all of the big headlines from the day. That's the monologue, by the way. We're going to keep an eye on the fact that the ceasefire has been extended, but this Southern Poverty Law Center indictment, remarkable story. We're going to dig deep into that as well. Meanwhile, did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting it every day with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing? House alarms, doorbell cameras, and deadbolts, they don't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff. They want your equity that you've built up. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name using a one-page document they file at the county and then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. And the scariest part, you don't even know this has happened. until those foreclosure notices are in your mailbox. And by then, the damage has been done. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from my friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid if the worst happens, restoration services with no out-of-pocket cost to you. You can check in your home's title today. Make sure you're not a victim. Use promo code Gruber at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts if anything happens, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use the promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com. More on the Southern Poverty Law Center after this.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
All right, I want to talk to you for a moment about the Southern Poverty Law Center. This just happened yesterday, all right? Kash Patel and Todd Blanche came out and said the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has been around since, I don't know, the 1970s. Morris Dees was the guy that founded this thing. And they have routinely smeared any right of center organization as being racist and hateful and blah, blah, blah. Hate groups, including some church groups, right? If you were a normal American organization, you were likely to get slimed by this organization. But let me read to you this. The charges focus on the SPLC's use of paid informants, who, according to prosecutors, were given large sums of money to infiltrate some of the nation's most infamous and dangerous extremist groups. This tactic, Todd Blanche said at the press conference, was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. They were creating the very thing they said they were opposed to. They were creating it for you to consume. Remarkable and criminal. The federal indictment against the SPLC reads in part, unbeknownst to donors, some of their donated money being used to fund the leaders and organizations of racist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, the Aryan Nation, and the National Alliance. Remember Charlottesville, Virginia? Remember that? And all the things that went on there? Bought and paid for in part by the Southern Poverty Law Center to create these images. I have said for years on this program, and this totally vindicates me and says that I was right about all of it. I have told you for years that the Southern Poverty Law Center was garbage. That Morris Dees, who, by the way, got tossed out because he was putting his hands all over the help, he was a piece of garbage, human garbage, that it was all crap. Far worse than I realized. They were buying their racist examples. They were buying the Ku Klux Klan. They were buying the Aryan Nations. They were buying Charlottesville, Virginia, and paying for it with donated money. Nice job, Kash Patel. Nice job, Todd Blanche. Way to get it done. Nice to see something big happen and people held accountable. I'll be right back.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, I'm Chris from Illinois. We like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump coming for retribution.
Howdy, RAV fans. It's Warbringer here. Love you all. RAV is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
Well, it is a new day in America on several fronts, that is for sure, as we look at how this administration deals with things like the Green New Deal, for example. The Green New Deal, where they think that it's good for the environment to bulldoze sections of forest and farmland and put in solar panels to get rid of coal-fired power plants so we can sit in the dark or watch our electric bills double, triple, or even more. Scott Bessent calling it out for what it is, and calling out the climate change economic toll. Gregory Wrightstone, geologist, the executive director of the CO2 Coalition, Arlington, Virginia, joining me. He's also a best-selling author of A Very Convenient Warming, How Modest Warming and More CO2 Benefit All of Us. Nice to see you again, Gregory.
Oh, it's good to be back on with you. And yes, Scott Bessent called it out right. We can talk about that in a moment.
So where are we in all of this? I mean, it's pretty clear that people have had enough of this. They've had, you know, there are places, Ivey and I were talking about this yesterday on the program, where you drive down interstates in southern Michigan, and there's just fields of these solar panels. They're the biggest eyesore I've ever seen. There used to be farm fields and forests, and you've got acres and acres of these solar panels where they've bulldozed the land, put in the panels, put limestone down, and run a fence around it. And this is supposed to be good for the environment. It is so obscene to me. Your thoughts?
It is, and Michigan is not a prime location for solar because you're in the northern latitudes. You're not getting that direct sunlight. Arizona, Florida, some of these other areas with more direct sunlight, they make more sense. Well, solar doesn't make sense anyhow. But if you're going to put solar panels put them up where you get more direct sunlight closer to the equator. At least you'll generate a little bit more electricity when the sun is actually shining, which happens about 38% of the time for solar panels. So it's ridiculous. And if you would drive through Montana and Wyoming, you have these just thousands of acres of wind turbines, one right after the other.
I've seen it. It's gross.
It is gross. And, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and the Pennsylvania has a lot of their lands controlled by the government, preserving it for hunting, fishing, wildlife, and it's about 1.2 million acres. And that the leaders of that voted unanimously here 2 years ago to forever ban wind turbines or solar on any of their lands, 1.2 million acres, because if you listen to these commissioners, they were just vitriolic hatred of the wind turbines. And we see it all over. The people are rising up across the United States.
Well, here's the thing. Something else. We were just talking about this again yesterday, Gregory. So your timing is exquisite. The point being, these turbines, they cost millions of dollars. Plus, you have to buy the land to put them on. Plus, you have to maintain them. And by the way, they're built using petroleum products, by and large. They're built with that stuff. They're imported here. But they do not produce enough electricity in their lifetime, that machine, to pay for the machine. They're a net negative, aren't they?
Yeah, and they may never. They claim a lifetime of 25 years. It's more likely closer to 15-year lifetime cycle. And these things, too, they degrade. These things are turning sometimes 150. The wingtips move very quickly. They look like they're turning slowly. It might be over 100, 150 miles an hour, and that's what's killing these birds. Yeah. But the turbine blades themselves get degraded because they're hitting insects and whatever, and they lose their efficiency quickly over the first few years.
They are the Cuisinart. They are the Cuisinart for bald eagles and all sorts of other birds of prey. They should be protected. By the way, if an oil company kills 100 Canada geese, right, they would be in huge trouble, huge fines. If a windmill chops a whole flock of geese into pieces, nobody gets in trouble. It is the most remarkable double standard, isn't it?
I'm not anti-goose, but I am anti-killing. I'm anti-killing eagles, and especially it's the golden eagles. Bald eagles are killed too, but it's mainly golden eagles in the West that are killed. And you figure these golden eagles, think about it, it's like a distracted driver that's looking at his cell phone or her cell phone, looking down and not looking ahead. And so these eagles are flying along looking for their next either a carcass that's already killed or their next prey. They're not looking what's ahead, and whap, they get zapped. And there's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has a take limit. Get this, 15,000 bald eagles a year are allowed to be killed. 15,000. If you are caught with one bald eagle feather, you're facing jail time and a $10,000 fine. And for having a feather, and they're allowed to willy-nilly slay thousands of our national symbols.
How did that happen? We have the Endangered Species Act of 1973 comes to mind. And killing birds of prey and everything like that is a federal. How do they get a pass on this deal?
Well, they're a protected class. They're a protected class of. We'll look at anything with solar wind. They don't look at the really bad issues that are involved with this. The mining of the rare earth elements, the minerals that are needed for this, that are in Pakistan, Uzbekistan, China, the people that are dying, the slave labor that goes into it, the child labor in the Congo that's needed to mine these elements. They don't look at any of that. It gets a pass. And they silence people like you and me. We're not allowed to get our message out there. Because they say, well, there's a consensus opinion. There's no argument at all. The science is settled. And so we don't need to bring Greg Wrightstone on or any of the other eminent scientists of the CO2 Coalition to give the other side of the story, because there is no other side. There is no dispute. There is no argument. Silence them. And that's what they've done. They've been very effective. And you've heard me tell this. My favorite quote about consensus is the great Richard Feynman, who stated, he said, I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. And that's what we have today. They're telling us the answer, and you dare not question it.
You know, I saw a story here in the last few weeks that one natural gas pipeline into the Northeast, of course, they oppose the pipelines into the Northeast. That would reduce the cost of electricity for millions of people and eliminate the need for these offshore wind farms. And yet those that are in lockstep with this Green New Deal cult refuse to see the mathematical truth. Besson's exactly right.
We have the largest natural gas reserve in the world.
By
Two
far.
of them, actually, in the Utica Shale and the Marcellus Shale that are in mostly Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia. The largest by far, but we can't get the gas from there to New England where they need it because both New Jersey and New York have banned pipelines. And they don't allow the pipelines to get this low-cost gas from Pennsylvania up to New England where they need it. So they have to import their gas through Boston through liquefied natural gas, LNG, and they're paying 4 and 5 times as much for that natural gas to power their electricity plants is what they could from buying it from Pennsylvania. And it's stupid.
Gregory, tell the folks where they can find you and keep up with all the great work you're doing.
Well, I'm now senior fellow at the CO2 Coalition. I'm halfway retired, not quite. I'm still busy every day. But you can look for my latest book, A Very Convenient Warming, How Modest Warming and More CO2 Are Benefiting Humanity. Just search for 2 words, convenient warming. Convenient warming. You can buy it on Amazon. If you don't like to give the money to Amazon, you can buy it directly from my website. But I promise, it's an easy read, and if you're not angered by some of the things
you'll be armed with facts. Yeah, you'll be angry, and you'll be armed with the truth to take on your little tree-hugging nieces and nephews at Thanksgiving. All right, Gregory, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Always appreciated. Yeah, truth lives right here, and I'll be right back.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, I'm Chris from Illinois. We like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guts. Everyone from Cherry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Howdy, RAV fams. It's Warbringer here. Love you all. RAV is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
All right, welcome back to it as we dig through this Wednesday morning with you. Great to have you here on board. Appreciate you stopping in. I saw something remarkable here yesterday. Something remarkable. And that was Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, an avowed Trump hater, a guy who cannot stand Donald Trump, right? Who came out and praised the president. It was really a moment that caught me off guard. It's Byte 11, Anthony. Go ahead and roll that.
But ladies and gentlemen, I want to start the program tonight in a slightly different place. I want to give credit where credit is due. We don't obviously often do this. The president did a solid over the weekend. President Trump signed an executive order in front of his fraternity brothers, fast-tracking the FDA process for novel psychedelic drug treatments for veterans suffering from all forms of PTSD and other psychiatric conditions, including addiction. I'm sorry. I'll let the president explain off the cuff as he does.
In 2024 study from Stanford University, 30 special operation veterans with traumatic brain injuries underwent, it's called ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, would you say?
Yes.
I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine.
Body. Ibogaine. Rogaine with an ibo. It's easy. I'm sorry. I'm falling into old habits. It's good. You did a good thing. I'm nitpicking. I apologize. A lot of the people are going to get
the help they need. So Jon Stewart praising the president for ibogaine. Who cares how you pronounce it? The fact of the matter is, it's helping people with PTSD. A lot of these folks are on their way to Mexico to get this psychedelic drug, right? Because it would help them break free of the ideas of suicide and depression and PTSD and all of these terrible things. It's going to be helpful for other people as well, potentially. My concern is they turn it into a street drug, and then you got more zombies on the streets. But be careful out there. Just the fact that Jon Stewart praising Donald Trump. And again, here's another breakthrough that has never happened under Democrats because they're more concerned about, the bloat of government and all of these agencies and the express speed of molasses. President Trump looks at something and says, you know what? If you think that will work, let's test it. Let's look at it. Let's evaluate it. Let's move forward quickly. And good for him. And you know what? Good for Jon Stewart for actually being honest about the president doing something that he liked. Meanwhile, here's something that I do not like and I will continue to expose. Democrat spokesperson Hassan Piker. You've seen him out there with Abdul El-Sayed, the Senate candidate in Michigan, and a number of other candidates around the country. Hassan Piker on stage with all of these fringe Democrats, and I call them fringe, but that doesn't mean they cannot be elected. Let that sink in for a moment. Just because they're fringe and frightening doesn't mean they can't win an election. But Hassan Piker praising the greatest mass murderer in world history, that, of course, Chairman Mao of the Chinese Communist Party. Listen to this.
The security checkpoints. I live streamed the entire process. I got stopped by a cop who thought I was making fun of Mao Zedong, which I never would and never will. Mao Zedong is one of the great leaders of this world. Okay, a man who changed the entire universe, the entire planet.
A great man who changed the world, who changed the universe. Yeah, by murdering 100 million Chinese. Go read about the Great Leap Forward. If you're not crystal clear on what it is, 1958, 59, 60. As many as 50 million Chinese paid the price with their lives. The Great Leap Forward was a leap into the graveyard, led by Chairman Mao, who Hassan Piker seems to think is a great guy. Here's a guy who he ran China by murdering people, by brutalizing people. 100 million, maybe. Meanwhile, here, I want a quick clip of this. Speaking of the left, they may have won in Virginia last night by 2 points. They got their gerrymandering in by 2 percentage points. It's going to be challenging in court. There are already 5 lawsuits standing by, ready to go. 5. Could make it all the way to the Supreme Court and quickly because they violated so many laws it doesn't even matter. But the left eating its own. In New York yesterday, it's interesting. We just had Gregory Wrightstone on. Climate activists went wild outside Governor Kathy Hochul's office. And after being warned time and again, they just started being arrested. Here's a little bit of enjoyment for you. Listen.
Arrests are beginning now.
Get out of here, you bums. Yeah, there they are. The left eating their own, attacking Kathy Hochul. Trump and Hochul. No difference, they kept saying. Same people. Hochul and Trump. Oh, and by the way, back to El Sayed, this candidate in Michigan, real quickly, before I leave this. Democrat Chuck Schumer was asked yesterday, the minority leader in the Senate, about El Sayed, who could be one of the people in his party getting elected to the U.S. Senate, because these crazy people can get elected. I don't think it'll happen, but it could. Here's what Chuck Schumer said about him.
Recently, one of the leading Senate candidates in Michigan, Democratic candidates, said that the Israeli government was just as evil as Hamas. You voted to continue those arms sales. Are you on the wrong side of public opinion in your party on this issue?
Our caucus is united and focused on ending the war in Iran. And that's why we're going to be voting tomorrow on Baldwin's resolution, and we're going to keep voting on those resolutions again and again and again.
And then he ran like a cockroach in the light. Abdul El Sayed, a guy who didn't want to insult the death of Khamenei in Iran because it might hurt people's feelings in Dearborn. Back after this.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, I'm Chris Milano, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump coming before retribution.
Howdy, RAV fams. It's Warbringer here. Love you all. RAV is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
here's a couple of quick headlines before we get to the end of this hour and start a new one for you. Congresswoman Sheila Cheerfulness McCormick, Democrat, Florida, now former member of Congress, facing 53 years in prison for fraud and stealing $5 million, has resigned from Congress. She did it yesterday, effective immediately. Of course, this comes on the heels of the resignation of Eric Swalwell, Democrat, California, and Tony Gonzalez, Republican of Texas. So another day, another resignation in Congress. There could be at least one more to come, a Republican. But for today, it means the Republicans have an extra vote in Congress. For today. We'll see where that goes. But it's just another, maybe they can get both of those seats in Florida, because the other one in Florida is Mills is going to get forced out as well for enriching himself at the expense of you, the taxpayer. Meanwhile, here's for anybody who questions how brutal Hamas was to the people following October the 7th, a brand new series of reports coming out. And we knew this, but as more evidence comes out, it becomes more crystal clear just how brutal and awful these Iranian-backed terrorists were in Israel on October the 7th. Women living under Hamas rule in Gaza describe how they were raped and tortured and forced to give sex for things like sugar and rice just to survive. If you wanted to eat, you were extorted for sexual favors by this group. The group reestablishing control in Gaza, we're told. 60,000 vulnerable women there. A rise in child marriages. A rise in child pregnancies in Gaza. I mean, you do the math. These people are animals. They're monsters. Anybody who stands behind Hamas, like, people on, former conservative talking heads that are now saying, they support the Iranians. Give me a break. These people are monsters. Monsters. And thank God President Trump is doing something about it, or at least trying, every single day. We'll take a break and be back. On Daybreak, we've got more to come. Ivey will join us, of course, in the next hour or two. You never want to miss that, now do you? See you in a moment.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Tensions with Iran are escalating yet again as a diplomatic effort appears to be stalling. Iran now says it has no plans for a new round of talks after the United States seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz. The developments come just hours after President Trump announced his team would be heading to Islamabad for possible negotiations through that path, now, even though that path now appears uncertain. Pakistan, in the meantime, preparing for those talks anyway, locking down parts of the capital and deploying some 20,000 security personnel ahead of any potential meetings. Speaking of, President Trump has even accused Iran of violating the current 2-week ceasefire, which ends later this week. On Truth Social, the president posting, Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. Many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the United Kingdom. The president added, no more Mr. Nice Guy. They'll come down fast. They'll come down easy. And if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done, which would include which should have been done, to Iran by other presidents for the last 47 years. On Sunday, President Trump confirming that the vessel tried to get past the U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Quote, our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel, he writes. The seizure marks the first interception since the U.S. blockade of the Iranian ports began last week. Here's the interaction between the United States and that Iranian ship leading up to the seizure.
Motor vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Okay, we gave the flare. Now we're getting anything. Be ready.
And just like that, that ship was subdued. It is a day of mourning in Shreveport, Louisiana, after a man killed 8 children in a shooting rampage that's being described as the deadliest shooting in more than 2 years. Investigators say the guy also shot his wife and another woman during the massacre. 7 of the kids were shot inside the home. 1 was killed on the roof of the house while trying to escape the attack, and a surviving child being treated at the hospital right now after jumping off of the roof. The coroner's office says the 3 boys and 5 girls were between 3 and 11 years old. Police ultimately killed the 31-year-old shooter following the police chase and a shootout. Detectives say they are convinced the attack was, quote, entirely a domestic incident, especially since 7 of the kids are the accused shooters. The shooter doesn't appear to have a history of domestic violence issues, but he was arrested in a firearms case back in 2019. And starting today, businesses affected by President Trump's tariffs can begin applying for refunds. The online portal for importers and brokers to claim duties paid on products under the Commander-in-Chief's tariffs is now open. In fact, it was scheduled to open early this morning. It's the first step in a complicated process that may eventually lead to refunds for consumers who saw the costs of tariffs passed along to them. The refunds are thanks to U.S. Supreme Court's ruling that President Trump's tariffs were unconstitutional. Companies have to submit declarations for goods that they believe were illegally tariffed. If U.S. Customs and Border Protection approves the claim, it will take up to 90 days for a refund to be paid. Once again, let's really quickly get back to the current ceasefire between the United States and Iran. It is set to expire this week, and there is concern that the agreement may not be renewed as Iran's military is promising to respond to the U.S. seizure of that Iranian ship that we just told you about. On Sunday, President Trump confirmed that the vessel tried to get past that U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Quote, our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. So the fight is being taken to the enemy. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'm Terrence Bates.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The U.S. blockade of Hormuz. The Senate doesn't seem inclined to change his mind. I want to start with a quick comment from Chris Murphy, caught in the hallway of Congress yesterday. Here's all he could come up with.
We talked to you about that X post you had. I know you sent out a statement saying it was sarcasm, but you're getting a lot of pushback online about that awesome saying that the 26 Iranian Shadow Fleet vessels got through the U.S. blockade.
Twitter's become kind of a cesspool. I probably should give up on sarcasm on Twitter. Obviously, anybody that's seen anything that I have said about Trump's war knows that I think it's bungled, mismanaged, and he should end it as quickly as possible. But sarcasm is not something, I guess, that's allowed on Twitter any longer.
Do you regret the post? Are you planning on taking it down?
I mean, I guess I just have to be more careful about sarcasm on Twitter.
And just thank you.
And then he ran away, of course. So no, he's not going to take it down. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here. We talked about this yesterday. This guy is the worst.
Sarcasm? Really? That's what you're going with? Nobody that read that believed that it was sarcastic at all.
Nobody at all.
But you're caught red-handed, and therefore now you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole you put yourself in.
Yeah, he called it awesome that the Iranians might be dodging past the American blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, the Defense Department came out and said, absolutely false. Not a single ship has gotten by. So he's cheering for a false narrative because anything that he can do to support the underdog, as he thinks that they are, apparently, Iran, who has killed thousands, literally thousands of Americans over the last several decades, that's the team he's on. I mean, it's... I use the word repugnant because it's a family program. I can use...
Wow.
Yeah. Anyhow.
You know, I wonder what kind of criticism he was giving to President Biden when he was pulling out of Afghanistan.
Probably not. Abbey-gate, 13 people dead.
Yeah.
Joe Biden and the Democrats stood by that. All right, I want to shift gears to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
What a story.
Look, I'm going to go back in time. I did some work with the Southern Poverty Law Center back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was doing some...
This was with NBC News, correct?
Yeah, when I was with NBC, I was doing these stories about the Ku Klux Klan in the state of Ohio, right? It took us weeks to find anybody. And finally, they were able to produce 3 people, an adult and 2 children, that were allegedly Ku Klux Klan members, and they were repugnant themselves. But now we're learning from this indictment. Kash Patel and Todd Blanche stepped to the microphone yesterday and say that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying these people, paying the head of the Ku Klux Klan, let me see, the Aryan Nation, the National Alliance, to create these episodes that could then be on camera, and they could say, we're fighting this. They're paying for the whole experience.
Yeah, the groups are that they listed here: Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, Aryan Nations, and the Nationalist Socialist Party of the American Nazis.
So they're supporting Nazis.
So those were the ones that were listed as money had been given to them. I mean, what is going on here,
and
Steve?
make no mistake, when you look at people like Senator Chris Murphy, who we just saw, Democrats have championed the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, my entire adult life. As long as I have been a reporter and in this arena, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been held up as they are the gold standard. They are the ones that know who hate groups are. And they would label religious groups. They would smear anybody. But I want to go to something else. Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
There's some reporting here that the Southern Poverty Law Center paid for that, to create this atmosphere that they could then use as a narrative to attack President Trump.
Yeah, there was a paid source that was involved in one of the extremist circles that may have had a role in organizing or participating in that Charlottesville rally or whatever it was.
So they take the allegation, so it's allegedly, they paid these people to create these scenes that were then caught by news cameras and others to perpetuate a lie. And the lie is this. What I was getting back, going back to my work at NBC. At that time, the Southern Poverty Law Center could find no more than about 6,000 or 8,000 Klan members in the entire United States, a country of 300 million plus.
Right.
8,000 or 10,000 Klan members, maybe. That's not exactly a problem. There's not exactly a Klan member hiding behind every tree, but they would have you believe that. And so, I mean, you hear these Democrats, Ivey, every day. Oh, it's white supremacy. It's the white man that's the problem. It's manufactured.
So, I mean, what we're going to be looking at here is, prosecutors say that the SPLC secretly paid millions of dollars, about $3 million, to informants embedded in extremist groups. Now, they're saying that they're informants because there was a lot of threats to their organization. But what the thing is, they effectively funded or enabled extremist activity, possibly. That's what the prosecutors are alleging, because they gave all this money to these organizations and groups.
They funded them.
And so the charges include wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering, because they're raising this money and then they're not disclosing that this is what they're doing with the money, which for a nonprofit organization is a big no-no. And you shouldn't be. I mean, when people start looking into this, what are they thinking? You're purposely creating unrest. That's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, you're purposely creating unrest to create a narrative.
To create a narrative.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly right.
So what Charlottesville was when the one person was run over.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. And then didn't Trump get into a bunch of, controversy about there were good people on both sides?
Right, because what he said, he totally denounced white supremacists. He totally denounced the haters that were there, but they only clipped that small section of his sentence and created the narrative that somehow Donald Trump was supporting the racists, which he was not. It's been debunked for years. The left still uses it, but
and this money was actually given between 2014 and 2023.
So through
this
his entire first term and into his second, leading up through all this, they have been lying to us the whole time. But we knew that, and it's. I'm going to say this: thank God somebody's being held accountable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Honestly.
Well, I'd be interested to see as this goes on, the information that comes out, because this is unbelievable.
Big story.
6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. Anyhow, I'll be more on this later. Thanks for dropping in and giving us those details. This is a big story. I've been acquainted, and just for the record, one last little punch to the SPLC. Their founder was a man named Morris Dees. He was tossed out of the organization a couple of years ago because he was putting his hands all over the help. He was a pig from start to finish. All right, there, I got that in.
Yes.
Thank you, Ivey.
Thank you, Steve.
Talk to you in a bit. Love you too. Back after this.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
I'm Chris from Illinois, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Howdy, RAV fams. It's Warbringer here. Love you all. RAV is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
If you've not heard, Virginia voters went to the polls yesterday, of course, to talk about redistricting. And those trying to gerrymander Virginia into a 10-1 state had passed by about 2.4%, less, by the way, than Kamala Harris' margin of victory in that state in 2024. People didn't want this, and now there are about 5 different lawsuits stacked up. But a bit of a setback, but we'll see how the Supreme Court rules on that Louisiana case. Might all be a moot point. But what's not a moot point is women that vote. Martha Jenkins is the president of the National Federation of Republican Women. She joins me now to discuss women and their impact in the midterms. Martha, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Glad to have you here. Women are the biggest section of voters in the country. They're the biggest group of voters in the country are women. Of course, women are going to decide the election. What are they going to vote on, Martha? What's going to drive women? Because there's a big divide in women, just like there is in this country on a lot of different topics. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's correct. And I think the biggest issue will be the economy. The Democrats want to use the term affordability. And, of course, that affordability crisis was implemented by the Democrats under Joe Biden, and we're just now pulling out of that. But I do think the kitchen table issues are going to be the most important ones in the election. They normally are, to be honest with you. People vote by their pocketbooks. And of course, women are not monolithic, and women are all in different situations. So they're not all going to be voting for the same reasons or the same issues. But a lot of the women that are married and raising families are going to be voting differently than single women that are not, because it makes a big difference when it comes to your pocketbook. So the Trump tax cuts and in the Working Families Act are going to make a big difference, I believe, in the midterms.
So for women, I mean, it's always about, the bottom line, I shouldn't say always, but just about always, it comes down to the economy, right? And right now, a lot of things in the economy are looking pretty good. Inflation's down, unemployment's down, the stock markets are all doing pretty well. The big, beautiful bill return tax. The tax returns to the people, to the women, to the men, to everybody, bigger than they've ever been in American history. All good things, but yet we still see the price of gas because what's going on in Iran. Gas down to $4.02 national average today, but still a long way from where it was a year ago for sure. Is it pocketbook issues, Martha, that drive women to the polls?
I think so. In some cases, other issues. I mean, obviously, the Democrats used the Supreme Court decision on Dobbs to their advantage and really ginned up the pro-abortion voters to vote in 2018 and 2020. So it's obviously another issue out there, but really most people are more concerned about their day-to-day existence, whether they're able to get a new car when they need a new car, whether they're able to buy food for their tables, whether they're able to make their house payment. And those things are more important in the long run than short-term issues.
What about cultural issues? Because there is one that seems to stick out for me, and that is men competing in women's sports. The Democrats continue to push this. It's not popular with women and girls around this country. It's not popular with anybody, and yet the Democrats continue to push this narrative, which I think is a failing message, but they keep pushing it. Any impact from that on the midterms, do you believe?
I think that has some impact. What really concerns me about that whole issue, and it's just not just men and women's sports, it's men identifying as women in a lot of other areas. For instance, in sororities, there's an effort to infiltrate sororities with men and woke ideology. And it's like an effort to erase women as a separate class of people or as a second sex. And I think I don't understand why the Democrats are still pushing this. You think they would learn, but at the same time, that is an issue that will definitely affect some people in certain races.
It certainly will. Title IX was put out there to protect women and girls, and this is a complete perversion. And that's the right word, a complete perversion of Title IX to allow men who think they're women, which, by the way, newsflash, they're not, but men that think they're women to participate in these places and to use bathrooms of women. And how many times we have to see sexual assault? How many times we have to see men pretending to be women in prisons assaulting other inmates because they've been put in the women's wing? And the stories go on. Martha, there's no question about it. This kind of insanity needs to stop. Give me the bottom line on how Republican women can carry the day in the midterms in November.
Well, the bottom line is getting to the polls and voting. Obviously, when people stay home, whoever wins is who they voted for because they didn't let their voice be heard. So it's extremely important for women to get to the polls and vote. And obviously, I think they should be voting Republican because Republicans are better on the issues, especially on the economy, especially on national security, which we didn't hit on, but safety is also a very important issue to women. And I think that's the bottom line, getting out and voting.
Yeah. Martha, it's important. I mean, what is it? 40% of evangelical Christians do not vote. 40% of gun owners do not vote. On the men's side of it, more men than women. But hunters, people that hunt, don't vote. 40%. These are crazy numbers to me. We've got to get people motivated. It's our future at stake. And Martha, I appreciate you being here.
Exactly. Thank you for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. All right, ladies, make sure you get out there and vote. I'm counting on you. I can't do it by myself. I need you, ladies. Behind every good election are a lot of really good women. How about that? When we come back, I'm going to explain to you something about the economy, make some comparisons. Came to me from one of you, from Mark. Mark sent me an email yesterday. I'm going to share part of it here with you because I think it's interesting, the comparisons he makes. Straight ahead on Daybreak.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
All right, this came to me from one of you guys. And look, I always encourage you to send me an email. As I tell you, it could end up being used here on the program. Mark sent me this. And he writes, someone needs to communicate some simple comparisons of current gas prices versus other daily expenses. And again, the national average today is $4.02. $4 gas versus $15 per gallon for bottled water at convenience store coolers. You pay more for water than you do for gasoline. That's marketing, my friends. He's right about that. Or 3.75 gallons of gas, which is what that price would equate to. $52 per gallon for a 16-ounce caramel frappuccino at Starbucks. Or 13 gallons of gas for $52. We need to start hammering people over their discretionary spending and tightening their belts, start prioritizing and stop whining. Well, Mark, I guess you've made your point. He's right. What do you pay for a gallon of Frappuccino? What do you pay for a gallon of water? What do you pay for a gallon of pick anything else? These wildly expensive things that people put their money into and then complain about gas and complain about what's going on in other places. Pretty remarkable. Speaking of the economy, when the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at about $35 an ounce. If you fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power, 85%. Gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by over 12,000%. And that's why central banks are buying gold at record levels. That's why major firms like Vanguard and BlackRock hold significant positions in gold. And that's why I encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. It starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase. Get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. Text the word America to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text America to 989898. Do that today. I'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridging the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Busy Wednesday already. Glad you're on board with us here. Appreciate you stopping in, as always, and spending time with us. We always like having you here with us. Joining me now is John Lauro, former prosecutor, former Trump attorney, to discuss Biden's weaponization of the Justice Department. It's Democrats versus democracy. That's what it is, the weaponization of the Justice Department. We look at the investigations like Arctic Frost now, targeting 13 members of Congress, people like Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, targeted and surveilled. John Lauro, welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Good to have you here. It's remarkable what the Democrats were able to get away with and continue, if I might be so bold, to get away with. The accountability is sparse. I mean, I saw a big move by the DOJ to go after the Southern Poverty Law Center yesterday. I appreciate that, calling out fraudulent behavior. But we need to hold people accountable like Jack Smith and others who played fast and loose with the rules and the law to go after their political opponents. What are your thoughts?
What we've seen over the last generation is the complete weaponization of the Department of Justice by the Democrats, who have hired political activists as DOJ prosecutors, both in Washington, D.C. and around the country. And they did that quite consciously. What they did is executed a plan which candidly the Republicans allowed them to do, which was to excise anybody of a moderate or Republican background and instead instill really ideologues in the Department of Justice. And then in the Biden administration, what you saw with Jack Smith, who weaponized the department against President Trump, you saw it in the use of the FACE Act against religious minorities. And now you're seeing it also in something called the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, all of which really resulted in the Biden administration using the rule of law against a political movement. We have to remember the objective was to take out the populist Republican MAGA movement from President Trump down to anyone who was really functioning at a local level in support of liberty and the Constitution. And they made no bones about it. They were quite clear. Right now, the left-wing media won't write about it, won't talk about it, but it's here. It's been with us. And one thing, Steve, it's going to get a lot worse if they ever get back in power.
Oh, it'll get a lot worse because they're agitated. It's like you kick the hornet's nest, right? And I want to focus for a moment on the Southern Poverty Law Center because they were an organization, and I think they're on their deathbed now. Morris Dees kicked out for putting his hands on the help, as he should have been. But they would label just about anybody, including Christians and Catholics. And they, in fact, the DOJ would use the Southern Poverty Law Center's list of, or blacklisted groups, if you will, John, to go after these folks. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a garbage organization my entire adult life. I've talked about it for 40 years. 40 years I've talked about it. And it proves to be true today. And these are the people, in part, that the DOJ would rely on to target people. They would kick in doors. 20 FBI agents storming the home of a cooperative anti-abortion activist, for example. I mean, just absolute military tactics to take on their political opponents, right?
They did good work years ago, 50 years ago, during the civil rights movement, and then they evolved into this sort of super political organization which targeted the political opposition to the left wing. And what they did was really characterize anybody that they disagreed with as a white supremacist and defamed organizations, good organizations and good people around the country that they simply disagreed with. And then, even more significantly, they colluded with the FBI and law enforcement during Democratic administrations to weaponize the Department of Justice and weaponize the rule of law against the political opposition. It's all part of the same large conspiracy that's going on in the country right now. Yeah. It's also happening with a company that I'm working with, or an organization called One Taste, where the Trafficking Victims Protection Act has been used by the Biden administration against a spiritual sensual practice that they don't like. So what they say is, if you belong to a religious or spiritual organization and you're giving your free time, we can characterize you as being brainwashed, and then we're going to call you a victim, and anybody who's around or involved in that organization, we're going to prosecute. In one case, one woman got 9 years in jail. It's really astonishing how the Democrats effectively use these statutes in a way to counteract and abuse and marginalize the political opposition. Quite extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. You know, there was a time in this country when people didn't worry about who the DOJ prosecutor was or who they voted for because it wasn't really relevant. The FBI, the same. If you're going to send people out, they're just FBI officers. They don't have a political bent. They follow the facts. They get to the bottom of it. That's not the case anymore, John. So how do you go back and rebalance it, go back to factory settings, if you will, and start over? How do you get there?
I'm not sure we're ever going to go back. I think we have to go forward. I think what you're doing is so important. The left-wing fake media will not publicize or publish any of this. They're going to keep it silent. They're going to corruptly cover up. But I think we have to shed light on this. I think that the current Department of Justice under Todd Blanche, good friend of mine, terrific lawyer. I know he's trying his best to shed light on this and bring cases. I think the accountability factor, which you've mentioned, is so important. And then we have to educate voters that this can never, ever happen again, where the statutes of law, the rule of law that we have all agreed to, are being used to really attack a political movement. And that's exactly what was done during the Biden administration. They wanted to take out the MAGA movement. That was their goal. That's still their goal.
It's still their goal because they haven't been able to crush that movement. Look, that movement runs at about 42 to 44%. That's basically Donald Trump's floor. The polling from reputable polling companies shows that he still has 42 to 44% among that group of people. And then you've got a small group in the middle. And we've got to arouse their suspicions, I guess, and get them away from watching network news, which is obviously left-leaning, networks on cable as well that are left-leaning. We need a whole plethora of thoughts so people can get the truth, because they're not getting it, John. Just like you said, they won't talk about it on CBS, ABC, NBC, or the New York Times or the Washington Post. Where do people get the truth? Because the truth is, this is not how it's supposed to work, is it?
Well, I couldn't agree, Stephen. You have to look also at how colleges and universities are indoctrinating students right now. You know, I live in New York City, and the young people voted overwhelmingly for a communist, bigot, anti-Semite. Let's think about that. You look at law schools right now. UCLA recently had a conservative speaker, wasn't allowed to speak because many of these students, get triggered, so-called, and they attack free speech. It's going on throughout the fabric of our culture, our society. It's got to stop.
Yeah, and if it doesn't stop, and these people get back in power, like you said, John, it'll be even worse. Real quick, last word to you.
Well, I think the only way we preserve our Constitution, our beloved country, is by being active and resisting this kind of oppression. We all have to do it. You're doing it. All of your listeners have to do it. We can't stop. We can't rest.
John Laurel, greatly appreciate you being here. You come back anytime.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Look, the FBI officer or agent at your door should not have a political agenda or an axe to grind. And yet, happens all the time now, doesn't it? It's unfortunate. 2-tier justice, maybe 3 or 4 tiers of justice. You decide. I'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
We spoke a little bit earlier about Chris Murphy and his clear hatred for the United States. Chris Murphy is a senator from the state of Connecticut, and he has demonstrated time and again now that he hates this country. When it was falsely reported on X over the weekend that 26 Iranian vessels had somehow gotten around the United States naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, he posted, awesome, on X. Awesome that Iran was beating the United States. It turned out to be completely false and bogus, but it did reveal Chris Murphy for who he is. And he was, we played this earlier, but I want to go through a whole series of things with Chris Murphy here. So I want to play for you again. He was confronted about this yesterday in the halls of Congress. He could muster a feeble response at best. You decide. Here it is.
Can we talk to you about that X post you had? I know you sent out a statement saying it was sarcasm, but you're getting a lot of pushback online about that awesome, saying the 26 Iranian shadow fleet vessels got through the U.S. blockade.
Twitter's become kind of a cesspool. I probably should give up on sarcasm on Twitter. Obviously, anybody that's seen anything that I have said about Trump's war knows that I think it's bungled, mismanaged, and he should end it as quickly as possible. But sarcasm is not something, I guess, that's allowed on Twitter any longer.
Do you regret the post? Are you planning on taking it down?
I guess I just have to be more careful about sarcasm on Twitter.
And just, thank you. Appreciate your time.
And then he runs away. Sarcasm. It wasn't sarcasm, Senator. You were rooting for the other side. You were rooting against people trying to kill Americans like they have done for 47 years. It's shameful is what it is. Shameful. But Senator Murphy has been advocating for Iran for many years. Let's go back to 2022 and let me share this with you. Back in 2022, he was saying take the IRGC off the list of designated terrorist groups. He's been rooting for Iran for a long time. Listen to this.
Would you take the Iran's Revolutionary Guard off the terror list in order to get a deal?
Yes. I mean, the practical impact of designating them as a foreign terrorist organization is inconsequential. We have dozens of other terrorist designations on the IRGC that would remain.
So he thinks the IRGC should just be considered like anybody else. That's Chris Murphy for you. And these are just some of the radical ideas coming from Chris Murphy, and nobody denounces it. Right? Nobody says anything about it. They just say, oh, yeah, it's fine. It's not fine. It's not normal. In any evaluation, that is not normal. But he doesn't like America. And I can demonstrate it over and over again. He doesn't like America. He doesn't like you. He doesn't like this country. He certainly doesn't like conservatives. He doesn't like the American way of government. He doesn't like any of it. He thinks this country should be flooded with illegal aliens who get free Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all the benefits, free housing, free everything. How do I know that? Because he says so. Listen to this.
Well, right, that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe, and it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
The people we care about the most, the undocumented people in this country, the people we care about the most, illegal aliens in this country. It was a policy, it was a strategy to flood this country with people that don't speak the language, don't care to assimilate. And who knows who they are because we didn't vet them. We didn't do any medical checks. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. Just open the door. Let them in. And if Democrats don't care about open borders, they should just leave their house unlocked. No matter where they're just let them come on in. What difference does it make? Why would you lock the door in your house if you're not going to lock the door on the nation? And Chris Murphy is just one example. Let me give you another one. Ed Markey, Massachusetts Senator, Democrat. You see, when President Trump cracks down on fraud, people should celebrate. When fraud is exposed in Minnesota and California, people should say, that's great. Let's put these people in prison. Let's throw them out of the country. If they came here and live here and are stealing from us, let's do something about it. But no, not the Democrats. Not Ed Markey. Listen.
But since we just had Dr. Oz here, one question I wanted to quickly ask. He just announced that he is asking states to provide plans for how they will revalidate certain Medicaid providers in the next 30 days. And this is as part of his effort to crack down on fraud and abuse, alleged fraud and abuse. What do you make of that plan to put the onus on the states to address those concerns?
Well, I know the state of Massachusetts is working on it, but I just think this is a further attempt by the Trump administration to just put another red herring out there. We're going to need an aquarium to have all the red herrings that they put out there.
Billions of dollars in fraud is a red herring, according to Senator Markey. Just a red herring. People extracting billions of dollars from, and it includes Massachusetts, lots of fraud there. In fact, every state has some level of fraud, but some are far worse than others. Massachusetts, one of those, by the way. And Ed Markey and his Democrat colleagues, they don't care. They hate you. They hate you. Let me tell you about something people keep asking me about, the QE infrared facial mask. It's red and infrared light therapy you can use at home and help support healthier looking skin, boost collagen, and soften the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Instead of expensive spa treatments, you just wear the mask for a few minutes a day. Ivey does it, I think, just about every night. Comfortable, easy to use, fits right into your schedule. It's the same mask that we've talked about here many times. Skip the costly spa visits. Go to QEstrong.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll get the mask for under $200. Can you imagine that? Under $200. QEstrong.com. Promo code is Gruber. QEstrong.com. Promo code Gruber. Sports with Brock in a moment.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
All right, let's check in with Brock Palmbush on sports.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. 3 NBA playoff games last night, all game twos in the first round. Philadelphia blitz Boston on the road 111-97, series tied at 1. Portland upset San Antonio 106-103, series tied at 1. And the LA Lakers beat Houston 101-94. The Lakers up 2 games to none. In San Antonio's loss to Portland, All-Star Victor Wembanyama suffered a concussion in the second quarter and missed the rest of the game. It is unclear if he'll play in Game 3 on Friday in Portland. Also in the league, Billy Donovan stepped down as head coach of the Chicago Bulls after 6 seasons. In the NHL playoffs, 4 game twos in round 1. Tampa Bay beat Montreal 3-2 in overtime, series tied at 1. Boston thumped Buffalo 4-2, series tied at 1. Utah got by Vegas 3-2, series tied at 1. And Colorado won over Los Angeles and Denver 2-1. The Avalanche up 2 games to none. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
Brock, thank you for that. All right, so Alan Dershowitz, who was on the program with me last week, fascinating individual. A libertarian, a lifelong Democrat, no more. In case you missed it, Alan Dershowitz says he is going to register as a Republican. Alan Dershowitz is going to register as a Republican, a Trump Republican. Now, look, Alan Dershowitz is a libertarian. He doesn't fit neatly into any box. That's true. He doesn't. He doesn't fit into any box neatly. He's his own man, I guess. But he believes in the Constitution. He believes in the rule of law. Now, we may not always agree, and we don't. But clearly, he has realized what people like John Fetterman are also saying. And you have to wonder, I'm going to have a little bit more on this in the next hour. John Fetterman, completely at odds with the Democrat Party on just about every major issue now. Men and women's sports, the war in Iran, and the list goes on, right? How long ago John Fetterman says, I've had enough of this insanity. I'm gonna cross out or become an independent. Just become an independent and say, look, I'm not a Democrat anymore. Because he's not. Based on his own comments. Nice seeing you this morning. For those of you on Real America's Voice, Sunrise on the way next. For those of you on the MTN networks, one more hour of the Steve Gruber Show. You can find it on YouTube and Facebook and all the streaming platforms. More to come after this.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.